Hi, and welcome to the Design Find podcast, a space where women are interviewed and in conversation to discuss the highs, lows, and everything in between about being a woman in design. The Design Find has new episodes every Monday, so make sure you come back every week. You can find more on the Design Find podcast Instagram. Hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, and welcome to the Design Find the podcast. Today we have Rakhi, and she's going to be sharing with us her story in the design field. So welcome.
Hi, so I'm Rakhi, and I'm an architect, and I have my practice based out of Mumbai.
Great. And how did you get into the architectural field?
Very honestly, like when I started with architectural education, it was more like, just with having creative inclination. And that's how I started. And I had very little knowledge about, how the field is actually working. And it was only after I graduated and in my first job, I got a lot of great exposure to how it should be, and it really got me excited. So I think that was kind of a turning point where I really in college I did not know a lot of things, and I really started enjoying everything that design is all about post starting with my first job.
And when you initially were in high school and looking for colleges, were you saying that you wanted to become an architect, or what did you study in college?
Uh, so, um, yes, I mean, post 12th grade, you need to know where you want to go. And so I'm talking about 1 years back, I had 21 years of experience. So that time, it was mainly like either you go towards commerce, science, or arts. And so that was not really, I wanted a career which is creative, but as well as, there is some technical aspect to it, and which will give me like a rock solid career. I did not want to go into teaching. So it was very regimental. The educational system was very regimental. And so I decided to take 12th science, and then you can join architecture.
And can you tell everyone a little overview of what you're doing now and what types of projects you're working on?
We've been working on various different kind of projects. Like if I look at my overall experience also, I've always been working on different segments. What I mean by that is we've been doing work in hospitality segment, then office design segments, then retail design segment. So currently we are doing a very exciting project in this city by name Pune, and it's a mall, and we are doing some very unique areas in a retail. So by retail segment, I don't really mean that it is only shops that we do, but there are certain common areas in a mall where you need to really create an experience which is exciting. So we are doing this very interesting, luxurious 3-story facade, which is part of an atrium space. We are doing some cafes in different atriums. So this particular mall has about 3-4 atriums, and we are doing different things in all of them.
What is something that you do every day in architecture that you recommend that people need to know? Like, is there any math skill or physics skill or design skill that you use a lot?
So basically, however, I'm an architect. My inclination more has been towards interiors, and so we've been doing a lot of work in interior design segment, and so it's not really a lot into physics. It does involve a lot of technicality, but yes, structural aspects which are technical or MEP design can be managed with various consultants. So our focus will be largely on design.
And what skills do you think you as a firm like best specialize in?
I would say design overall. I feel that we can really design any space, and our specialty will be to create elements within any space which will create a sort of an emotional connect with the space. So that is what we target. So like for example, we had done this building by name Art Guild House, and so where the brief was to create a destination where art meets business, and but at the same time, this building was, we were designing the common areas of the building. So it is not only your client, which is the end user, but everyone occupying the building is actually the end user. So you have to keep in mind, what will really they like and what will be the journey within the space, within the building. And we also, really like to go back to our projects once they are executed, to really see that, what we were trying to achieve, did we really achieve what we were thinking? So when you are designing, you have a lot of visualization that, okay, we can create this and people will really like this. And but it is also important to really understand, go back and understand that, was it really like that? Like, did people enjoy something that you had created in terms of space, in terms of how they relate to the space and what is their experience like? So I think that that's an exciting process. So our core motive is to create spaces where people can feel some sort of emotional connect, and they will remember some aspect of the design and they'll take it with them. So like if I go now and if I interact with anyone who's occupying that building, they would definitely, remember that, yes, we there was this lobby which had like this really bright yellow mango color glass, or we've created one atrium space where there are meeting rooms which are done like a gazebo. So they remember all these elements and they were using it very fondly. So I think that's what we are trying to achieve by design.
And what got you thinking from like, primarily working for someone else versus, hey, I want to start my own architectural practice? Like, what did you think that Mumbai was missing that you wanted to create?
I So there are two aspects to it. One was very much like a sort of personal dream, so to say, to be having my own business, and that was actually the primary reason why I really wanted to start my own practice, and to really get into. So in addition to the creative side, there is a lot of business side to any business, and I think I wanted to explore their arena also. So when you're working for someone, you are not paying attention to the business side. And even if you are just delivering projects with great design, it is enough. Um, but when you have your own business, there is a whole lot of other development that happens, and that's also really, really important. So I would say that it is more satisfying when you have your own establishment, and when you look back as to what you've been doing. And I feel very proud of what I've been doing when I look back now, that what the kind of practice that I've created, the kind of brands that we've been working with. So all that is a lot of personal satisfaction, and creatively also, when you when you're working for someone else, yes, you are kind of respecting their design philosophy as well, and creating within a certain framework which is defined by someone else. And when you are on your own, you are really uh, doing what you want to do. And so even in terms of, what kind of projects will you select, or what kind of projects excite you, what is it that you don't want to do, like, what you may not like or which may not coincide with your design philosophy. So all that also plays an important role. And in terms of having your own practice is always exciting in the design field, because then you can create, whatever looks you want, whatever, there's always this transition that happens in trends. So how you want to follow, what kind of trends, all that is your decision. So I think I like that sense of independence that comes with it.
I agree. I think, yeah, so you're able to do whatever you want. And how did you kind of build up a client base moving from, you previously worked somewhere else, right?
Right, right.
So how did you build up a client base and show everyone that you're a credible firm when you moved to your own firm?
Basically, when I was working for another company, that time also I was doing, a lot of client interactions, and I kind of knew, what. So every time, and I was very curious about, how do they make selection, how do they decide which architect they want to go for, and I was always asking questions to all our clients as to, why are they selecting so and so person, what is the logic behind them, and that kind of gives you a framework about how a client makes a decision of hiring someone. So that really helped me. And since I was working, there was already, so I personally believe that whenever, even when you're working for a company, you are basically in a marketplace. And everyone that you are interacting with is carrying a certain image about. There was already, like a foundation there. There were a lot of people in the market who knew about how I functioned, and they had that certain level of trust in me that I would be able to deliver. Also, my practice from day one has been built on, very strong foundation, which was very process driven. Like our approach has been from day one very process driven. So we have set processes within the organization for churning out work. So even though it's a creative field, you can add a lot of rules, planning out every little thing in a project. I think that really helps. And I was so passionate about how I want my projects to look, that I was not willing to accept any compromise anywhere. So I used to really think hard, like, what should I do at what stage, which will, not really hamper any activity in the project. And I think that really helps in getting a project which looks very, very refined. So there are many, because even though your design may be great, but if you're not keeping track of your project when it goes into construction, because construction is happening with a lot of labor, which may not be very tech savvy, or which may not be which is a very unorganized sector still in India. So you really have to ensure that the data is delivered to them in a more structured way, and there are processes of checking also at site, so that your product is not compromised. So I think once you start putting a lot of checkpoints, you really get a product which you feel very happy achieving.
How do you balance being the business owner and managing people, but also being the architect and coming out with the designs?
Um, Somewhere I think when you want to make your practice, like a big success, um, you start to develop skill set, which is really required to make it a success. And for me, the business part was difficult. Creativity came very naturally, but the business part was not sort of there, I would say, from day one. And I have done a lot of, I've been going through a lot of lectures online, reading about a lot of business leaders, and how they've been doing business, not and making their business a success. So there's been a lot of these activity which has over the years given me a lot of help. Otherwise, when I started my business, I felt that I was very, very naive about how to manage business. and especially how to manage people, and how to manage like an office. Because when I started, I was not really having, a lot of different people helping me out to manage the business part.
Do you think is the most important skill or technicality an architect can have?
I think to me, being able to do very quick turnaround, being very good with the software in terms of drawing helped me a lot. I was very good in CAD, and I'm very good in CAD even now. So I think that really helped me when I started my business. Like, I really wanted to try out. So when you want to, give a quick shot to an idea or explore where it takes you, if you have a drawing skill or visualization skill or sketching skill, or maybe if you're good at 3D software, which really helps you, very quickly try out certain things, it really helps. I think those skills are really important.
What advice would you give to someone looking to become an architect?
I think I would say that architecture and design in general requires a lot of hard work. It requires, juggling with lots of different aspects to make a project successful. So first of all, you should, try and understand that what is it, and do really enjoy doing that, because it is huge amount of hard work. And many a times I've seen people that they just don't enjoy that much of hard work um, to achieve something, so it's like you should be happy at the end of the day by the amount of hard work that you're putting in, and are you really happy with the final product, or the feeling that you feel after achieving something. So I think it is important to you either work somewhere, or do your summer training somewhere or something like that, which gives you an idea about how the business actually works. Because if you're not really cut for that kind of hard work, it may be very, very difficult, and you may want to quit, after a year or two, that it is too much hard work. So
And
I
what is
would say that try and understand the field properly before you take a decision on
and what is
jumping into
kind
it.
of a day in the life for you as an architect? What types of things do you do? Meetings, work, just all of that.
Okay. So I usually, I'm a morning person, so I wake up really early morning. I really like to meditate in the morning. I'm not so regular with workouts, but I guess I'm like trying to be more regular in my workouts in the morning. And then I think what is, I, I keep track of a lot of social media and what's happening on the design world. And I think more specifically in the design world, there is a lot coming out in the social media where you really, are getting to see so much what is happening across the world in terms of design. So I get my, fair share in the morning. And then once I'm in the office, I work with a lot of lists. So, it's everything is there on my list. I prepare my list first, that this is what I need to do in a day, and then just start sort of knocking down. And a typical day would really include a lot of different things. It would include interaction and meetings with different vendors. Then it would include uh, going through different projects which we have, working out details. Like today's day there was a meeting about some new sanitary items, products, newer taps, etc. that was there in the market. So I really wanted to explore that. Then we were going through coordinated services drawing. So basically, we work with a lot of consultants. So they give us data, and we kind of see what is the impact of that data on our design. So that's a very important part of the whole process, because NEP makes any project more comfortable for the end users. And we really have to see that it is not really done by, damage to the design. So I think, so that formed a large part of my day to day. And then I went through some exciting tile products, and I really love to go through newer products. I think that really kind of, inspires me in coming up with a lot of new ideas. So we really went through a lot of great tile products which were there, recently launched in the market, and we are doing one villa in Lonavala. So I was doing a study also on, the products which will stand heavy rain and everything. So I had very interesting meeting and interaction with someone who was an expert in wooden products and different types of wood and how they respond to different weather and climate. So that was very, very exciting. So much knowledge I gained from that, which I did not know. So, and that is another part of our field, that every day is learning. So you learn something new every day. So I think, yeah, this is how my day usually is. And then once the day ends, then you just hit home, and then it is more family.
And how does being in India influence your style as an architect, and how has it helped you learn as an architect?
Um, Being in India, so India has a lot of cultural history, and it India, like I feel that currently is like the best time in India. There is a lot of development happening, and it's always exciting to participate in your buildings and all. And I like in India, basically everything was available. We have a lot of rich materials available in the construction industry, and that really helps in terms of having that creative freedom to be able to do what you want. And plus, it is very easy also if we want something from outside to procure something from across the globe. So that's very easy when you are in India. So that also kind of helps. And there is I feel that there are a lot of creative designers in India, and that kind of helps you also to maintain that that level of so to say uh, like a healthy competition where you see so much of good work coming out in the market, that you will feel, okay, I did this, but maybe I need to do better maybe in the next project. So it kind of motivates you to continue to do something better and better and better. So I think, yeah, I mean, and in terms of creativity, like there's so much great stuff happening in India right now that it's really inspiring.
And what if you are, and if you are doing it, what types of things are you doing in terms of sustainability in architecture?
So our sustainability is is the way to move forward, and we've been trying to implement um, certain systems like solar power in some of our projects. Then we've been using water saving taps, etc., in our project. And we've been trying, I think it's a process where I still feel that people are not sort of it's taking a little time to move towards sustainability, and people are looking at cost when we are talking about sustainability, whether something is expensive or is it coming at a cost. And so I think we are in such a process where we really need to open up our mind to make the whole world more sustainable. But in terms of um, the practices, this is what we've been doing.
What are some specific designs or materials that you use in all of your projects?
Um, I really like to, uh, make details which are using a lot of Indian marbles, and we have very beautiful Indian marbles available here. And we've been doing a lot of compositions by playing with different levels with Indian marbles. And I think I really love doing that. And that's been sort of part of my designs for a while. Also, create very interesting patterns, keeping in mind the natural grains within these marbles. So I think that's been like a constant thing in the design. And I love to play with composition, which is more pattern on pattern kind of composition. So almost all of our projects have been having very nice floating patterns everywhere. So the idea being, create a very sort of geometric backdrop to your design, and then on top of that, your walls and all are playing out differently in different projects.
And what is your favorite type of project to do, or what, like, if you can give us an example of your most exciting project you've done?
I I love designing common areas, public spaces, where a lot of people are going to utilize this space, and projects which move with a certain time limit. Certain time limit, as in who are so many a times, you're making something, you're breaking something, and the project has no deadline. So I like to work on projects which are very well defined in terms of timeline, and they are catering to a larger audience rather than residences. So I think I like more commercial spaces.
And lastly, if what is the best thing about being an architect?
Best thing about being an architect is that your work is different. I think it happens largely only in our field, where every project is a different project, and you are designing for a different person. And so every project has like a sense of variety to it. And so for me, it was very important that I'm not, like in a job, or my work is not such that I'm just doing the same thing for many years. So if you're in finance or something, you'll be doing largely the same thing for many years. But in our field, in architecture and interior design, every project is different. So you're getting to do every everything different in every different project. So even while the processes remain the same, people are different, for whom your audience is different. So that makes a lot of difference, and it's there is never a like a dull or a boring moment. I think that's what is great about my field.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Do you have a website for your firm or a LinkedIn where the listeners can reach you?
Yes, my website is www.studiorakhi.com, and our Instagram is Studio Rakhi M.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, I hope you loved this episode. If you did, rate and review on Apple Podcast and Spotify, or send it to people who you would think would be interested in listening in. You can learn more about the guests in the show notes or on the Design Find Instagram. The Design Find podcast is under the Entrepreneurs Network.